If you've ever run paid ads, watched the clicks come in, seen traffic hit your website, and then realised nobody is actually buying, it's one of the most frustrating feelings in marketing because you start thinking two things at the same time. First, I might be wasting money, and then second, I don't even know what I'm doing wrong. Now here's the interesting thing. When ads don't generate sales, the problem usually isn't the ads themselves. It's something deeper in the system. And once you understand what that is, paid ads start to make a lot more sense. And in this video, I'm going to show you 4 specific things that usually sit behind ads that get clicks but don't generate sales. If you can identify which one is affecting your business, you'll know exactly what to fix before spending another pound on advertising. So as we go through this, see if you can recognize which of these 4 is happening in your own marketing. Hey, I'm Stephen, and on this channel I help small businesses and marketeers understand how marketing actually works, so you can stop guessing and start building something that actually grows. In my last video, we talked about why paid ads aren't the first move for businesses. And in this one, I want to show you what's usually happening when ads are running but not producing sales. Let's start with the biggest misconception people have about paid advertising. Most people believe ads create demand. Turn ads on, traffic arrives, sales follow. But that isn't actually what ads do. Paid advertising is an amplifier. It doesn't create demand from nothing. It amplifies what already exists in your marketing system. If your offer resonates, if your message connects, and if the path to purchase is clear, ads can accelerate growth. But if those things aren't yet in place, ads don't fix the problem. They expose it faster. And that's why so many businesses walk away from paid advertising thinking ads don't work, when in reality, the ads simply revealed something deeper that needed fixing. Now, the reason I want to walk through these one by one is that most businesses assume that ads themselves are the problem. But once you start breaking the system down, it usually becomes obvious where those things are going wrong. And often the fix is simpler than most people expect. Let's start with the first one. The first problem is surprisingly simple. You're showing ads to the wrong people. Let's imagine a local service business, say a plumber. They decide to run ads to get more customers. So they create a campaign targeting homeowners within their city. Sounds logical, the ads start getting clicks, traffic arrives, but inquiries are low. Why? Because the audience might still be too broad. You could be reaching people who rent and can't hire plumbers themselves, people researching DIY fixes, people outside the plumber's service area, or people who simply clicked out of curiosity. Clicks don't necessarily mean intent, and that's something a lot of people discover the hard way. Paid ads make it incredibly easy to attract attention, but attention and relevant demand are not the same thing. So the fix here isn't always better ads. Often it's better targeting. For example, if you're running something like Google Ads, you might start with quite broad targeting. People searching related phrases, general services, wider locations. But as data starts to come in, you often realize that the people who actually convert tend to share specific characteristics. Maybe they search slightly different keywords. Maybe they're located in particular areas. Maybe they're looking for a specific type of solution. So the job becomes less about reaching more people and more about reaching the right people. Because when the audience becomes more relevant, the same ad often starts performing much better. Being clearer about who you actually want to reach, what situation they're in, and why they would choose you specifically. Because when the audience improves, conversion usually improves too. The second issue is the offer itself. Your ad might be working perfectly, but the value proposition isn't strong enough to trigger action. Let's look at a simple e-commerce example. Imagine you see an ad for a new skincare brand. The ad looks professional, nice product photos, good branding, but the message simply says, premium skincare available now. There's nothing technically wrong with the ad, but there's also nothing particularly compelling about it. Now compare that with an offer that says, clearer skin in 30 days or your money back. Suddenly the value is obvious. The difference isn't the advertising platform, it's the strength of the offer. People don't buy products, they buy solutions to problems. And if your offer doesn't clearly communicate that solution, ads can struggle to convert even if people click. So if your ads are getting traffic but not sales, it's always worth asking, is the offer itself strong enough? Is the outcome clear? Is there a compelling reason for someone to act now? Quick question for you. If you've run ads before, did you struggle more with getting clicks or turning those clicks into customers? Why don't you let me know in the comments below? I'm always interested to hear what people are experiencing in the real world. Before we move on, here's a quick way to start diagnosing what might be happening in your own situation. If your ads aren't getting clicks, the issue is usually the ad itself, the message or the creative. But if your ads are getting clicks and traffic and people still aren't buying, then the issue is almost always somewhere after the click. The audience, the offer, or the journey people experience once they arrive on your website. And that distinction is really important because it tells you where to focus your attention. The third issue is something called message mismatch. This is where the ad promises one thing, when someone clicks and lands on the web page behind the advert, the experience delivers something slightly different. The message changes, the tone changes, or the next step suddenly feels more complicated than expected. And when that happens, people hesitate. They pause, they second guess. And hesitation is the enemy of conversion. Let me give you a real example from my own experience working in financial trading. Earlier in my career, we were running paid campaigns designed to bring new traders onto the platform. The ads focused heavily on simplicity, quick account setup, fast access to markets, easy to get started. And those ads worked. They generated traffic, but when people clicked through, the landing pages immediately shifted into detailed explanations of complex trading products. Now, for experienced traders, that made sense, but for beginners, the experience suddenly felt intimidating. The promise in the ad was simplicity, but the page they landed on felt complicated. So you had a disconnect. The ad said one thing, the experience said another. And when that kind of mismatch happens, people hesitate. The tricky part is this. If you don't know what to look for, you'll assume the ads failed. But often what's happening is this. The ads are revealing something deeper in your marketing. Once those two things were brought closer together, conversions improved. The fourth issue is friction in the buying journey. Even when the audience is right, the offer is strong, and the messaging is aligned, people still need a clear and simple path to take the next step. Let's look at a quick software as a service example. Imagine you click on an ad for a productivity tool. You're interested, you land on the website, but the page is long. There are multiple pricing plans, several buttons, a lot of technical explanations. None of it is necessarily wrong, but there's a lot to process. And the more decisions someone has to make, the less likely they are to take action. That's friction. Think about tools like Notion, Slack, or Monday.com. When their ads work well, the journey is incredibly simple. You click the ad, you understand the value almost immediately, and within seconds, you're invited to try the product. that simplicity removes friction. If instead you land on a complicated page with multiple options, unclear pricing, and too many decisions, far fewer people would move forward. Sometimes improving ad performance isn't about changing the ad at all. It's about simplifying the journey that follows. Clear next step, clear call to action, minimal confusion. The easier it is to move forward, the more people actually will. And the one thing that often surprises people is that small changes in this part of the journey can have a huge impact. Sometimes simply removing a step, clarifying a button, or making the next action more obvious can double the number of people who move forward. And when that happens, the ads that once felt like they weren't working suddenly start producing results. Not because the ads changed, but because the system behind them improved. And if you're currently running ads that aren't producing results, there's a good chance that one of these 4 areas is where the issue sits. Once you identify it, the whole system becomes much easier to fix. So let's take a step back and connect all of this together. The key principle behind paid advertising is actually very simple. Ads amplify what already works. If the audience is right, if the offer is compelling, if the message is aligned, and if the journey is simple, ads can accelerate growth very quickly. But if any of those pieces are weak, ads don't hide the problem, they reveal it faster. And while that can feel frustrating, it's actually incredibly useful because it tells you exactly where to improve. So, if your ads are getting clicks but not generating sales, don't immediately assume that advertising itself is the problem. Instead, look at the 4 areas: your audience, your offer, your message, and the journey people take after they click. Fix those areas and suddenly paid ads become far more predictable. And the reason I wanted to break this down today is that once you see advertising this way, it stops feeling like guesswork. You stop throwing money at ads hoping something works. And instead, you start improving the system that sits behind them. And when that happens, advertising stops feeling like gambling, starts feeling like real growth. If this video has helped you understand what might be going on with your ads, consider giving it a like. And if you want more videos that break down marketing in a simple, practical way, then let me know in the comments below what you'd like me to cover. And make sure you subscribe for new videos every Monday and Thursday. And I'll see you on the next one.